So that portion of the video just really goes to show how much emotions can play a part in a presentation. Stevenson talks to a janitor at the courthouse, and that same janitor, um, when basically everybody's in a frenzy and kind of upset with Stevenson over the misconducts and everything, he comes into the courtroom and basically almost sits right where Stevenson's at, and telling him, you do you, and stand up for what you believe in, and keep fighting for it, and it just goes to show that some emotion helped play a factor in the fact that even after the janitor was approached by somebody else being like, "Why are you here?" and he's like, "Because I'm here and I'm doing this, and you're not going to tell me otherwise." But um, you emotion was definitely a huge part in playing a factor. And speaking of, um, Stevenson's TED Talk was actually voted the most persuasive according to TED.com, and in one's ability to persuade can be defined as influencing someone to act by appealing to reason. And Aristotle himself was one of the founding fathers for communication theory, and he had a firm belief in persuasion occurring when these three things occur and are represented, and those three things were pathos, logos, and ethos. And in Stevenson's talk, he had a 65% pathos and a 25% logos. And the logos is like the relating to, and basically just having logic to all of that. Um, while pathos is the emotional aspect, and it just goes to show that pathos is definitely very important in having that persuasive aspect when you're trying to reason with someone, because logic just doesn't do it all for persuading. And ironically enough, the people that say that are the most logical people in the world. Um, so you can't always use logic to try and persuade. Um, and just kind of in closing, I feel that storytelling is such a huge part of our everyday life, and it plays such a huge role. Going all the way back to the Vikings to with all their legends and storytelling that they would do to their friends and family, and it's evolved over time, and we found ways to have storytelling be able to be part of a presentation, and just either be able to lighten the mood or be able to get your audience to relate to what you're talking about for a story, and um, just being able to touch on those emotional strings, and just being able to persuade them, like, hey, I really need this, and you tell them a story of some sort that relates to what you're talking about, and they're like, yeah, I totally understand, and they hop on board, or they're just they oppose it, and that's that. And um, it it's really powerful stuff, and especially him being a lawyer, being able to really be good at storytelling and kind of sway how a verdict could possibly go in a case, or depending on what it is, of course, and that he has a lot of power with that emotional aspect. And I really really liked his speech that he had, because he a lot of his stories, I myself couldn't necessarily relate to that much, but just him talking about all the social injustice, um, and all that between the wealthy and the poverty, and you know racial injustice, and just all of that being talked about, and it's really powerful stuff in that regard. To we as we in the world just need to kind of show more love, um, for both ends of the spectrum, and not look at it as, oh well, they're extremely wealthy so they have all the power in the world, or well, they have nothing so they don't get a say and it don't matter. um, but hopefully you guys enjoyed the presentation. That's all I have on this art of storytelling, and hope you guys enjoyed.